Hello, hello, magical souls. Today we are talking about the Merkaba. Welcome, welcome to our podcast. I'm Katherine Tack, and joining me today is the very magical Marina. We're so glad you could be here today to explore the Merkaba activation and what it can mean for your field and your soul's journey. And we're going to start by sharing what the Merkaba is and why it matters. So over to you, Marina.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me, Catherine. It's so lovely to see you here. My name is Marina, and I've worked with the Merkaba activation for many years, integrating the light body energy and safely and gently moving forward, raising my vibration. And I have to say, I've done this really for many years. The first time I did the Merkaba activation, I didn't realize completely what it was good for and what it actually was, and I didn't pay that much attention to it. But when I learned more and more about it through you, Catherine. It really opened a completely new world to me, and it's amazing work. So I would like to start by asking you, Catherine, could you please share what first drew you to the Merkaba work?
Thank you, Marina. Well, I would say what drew me was this deep longing for embodied expansion. So, a way to carry out light without disassociation and to hold higher frequencies in the practical, heart-centered ways. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that I am a spiritual person and I've known that for a long time. And I wanted to bridge the gap between being in a physical body, because I chose this physical body and I need to embody it, and also bring in the energy of my spiritual side. But at the same time, we need to make sure that we are connecting the physical expression of ourselves. So I would say that it's very tempting as a spiritual person to just say, I don't want to be here anymore. I loved being in wherever I was, Pallades or Sirius or wherever those places are. And I want to go back there because it was just all about rainbows and unicorns and things like that. But actually, when we embody our physical selves and embrace our experience on this earth plane, connected connected to moving into a high vibration in a heart-centered way, we can hold a higher frequency and still live out our physical lives as well. Um, so I think that's quite a complicated way of talking about the Merkaba, but maybe we should take it back a step or two. So, Marina, would you like to explain briefly what the Merkaba actually means in maybe a simpler way?
Okay, I'll do my best. So the word Merkaba is actually an ancient word that literally means the light spirit body. It's often described as a geometric field. A lot of people say it's like a vehicle, an energetic vehicle around our physical body. So it's made of two interlocking tetrahedrons, which is like two 3D triangle. I know it's not the right word because not everybody knows what a tetrahedron is. Um, so one is pointing up, a 3D triangle, and one is pointing down. And they create a spinning field that is almost like a machinery creating a light vehicle. And it's like almost like in electric networks, they have the transformers, and it steps up our energy and it connects through many dimensions, as you said. So it connects the physical really to all the dimensions, right down through to the divine, through the higher source. And it anchors in higher frequencies into the physical body. And it's very much for me about connection and really bringing us to who we really are. So, Catherine, what would you say? How does the Merkaba activation show up in everyday life?
That's a great question, Marina. I think that I would say people often describe subtle shifts at first, like they say, "Oh, is it even activated?" Because we ask, the way I train people to do it is to make sure it is subtle at first, because, like I said earlier, we need to still be here in the physical, and if there are ways of activating our Merkaba that will just shoot us off in all different directions and we'll have the best time, but we might not be able to pay our mortgage or keep the lights on or be the wife, daughter, cousin, brother, whatever you need to be to the rest of the people here. So we need to get that balance just right. So that's why I ask, and I teach people to put it in a gentle way first. But they do often, shortly after that, realize that things are changing. Their patterns are changing. They start to feel stronger intuitive nudges to do things that they think they wouldn't have actually gotten to on their own without their Merkaba activated. They can have you can have increased sensitivity to things. Some people say light and sound and that sort of thing, but I would say in a good, healthy way. So I was very sensitive to light and sound when I was younger, but in a negative way. Now I'm sensitive to it in a positive way, which is good. And some people also talk about a sense of expansion. Maybe they feel it in their chest. But over time, it can support people creating clearer boundaries. It creates higher creativity and a strong alignment with your soul's purpose. But it's even more than that because you can actually program your Merkaba to assist you with your life. So if you find a part of your life that is not quite balanced, it's off balance, you can add a program into it to assist with that balance, then which supports your overall mission and purpose. Though I must add, we are only allowed to add programs that our higher self agrees with. So during the training, we would first need to have your higher self on board, and you would need to have a strong symbol for yes, no, and neutral from your higher self before we even do the Merkaba programming, because it's really important that your higher self lets you know that you are allowed to do this or this. Because the way I like to explain it is, for example, if somebody has an illness, like my father, he had a terrible illness, and I had to ask his higher self, am I allowed to heal him? And I do this because I know it's not going to happen with my own father, but with another person, they might be on the precipice of healing themselves. And then if I go in and heal them, that's ridiculous. That takes away their whole mission and purpose, and it would really upset the apple cart. So that's why I take everything back to your own personal higher self. I don't want myself to tell you what to do. I don't want anybody else on this planet to tell you what to do except your higher self. Your higher self must have final say because your higher self is the part of you that helped you plan this life in the first place, helped you choose your parents that you were born to, helped you choose which country you would live in, what sort of friends you might make in the early stages, etc. So that is why the higher self is so important. Um, and on that note, Marina, what would you say are the most important safety considerations when activating your Merkaba?
So I'm glad you're mentioning the higher self because I feel this is truly really important. During my first initial Merkaba training, there was no word about higher self or any divine connection or anything. It was just the procedure and nothing else. And I think working with the higher self, it also helps us to make it very personal, to almost custom create or make or program the Merkaba to what we need right now, and rather than just having a general process. And it makes it safer. Safety is always the number one priority, I feel, with Merkaba work, just as well as with any spiritual, energetic work. It's so important because there's so much out there that may not be safe, that may bring up stuff that people don't know how to handle or deal with. So it's always good to do that in a safe environment with safe parameters. So we always emphasize and suggest to support the work with grounding practices, gradual integration in line with your higher self. So working in line with your higher self guidance, your divine guidance, just to help your nervous system step up, because it is a stepping up, just like I mentioned earlier with the transformer in the electricity circuit. The nervous system is literally the physical equivalent of the energetic electricity system, right? The energetic kind of pathways. So it is being stepped up as well, even the physical nervous system. So we have to give ourselves that space, that time. And also, if people had recent trauma, any trauma in their lives, to make sure they have any means to deal with this or to work with it, to heal it, any neurological conditions, any issues, or if somebody's just feeling completely overwhelmed, just to do some preparing work to help you heal to a certain state or to a certain level beforehand to be ready for your nervous system to be ready to take it. On the other hand, though, I would like to say that this kind of work really draws us to it. The Merkaba is calling us because the higher self, the divine, is calling us to actually do this work, to step up, to step into our true beingness, who came here to be, right? So we are being called. So also just listen to that call. If like I felt really drawn to this work, and I think everybody who does it, they really have this deep inner calling, which comes from that little voice, which is from the higher self and the divine guidance, to listen to that. So yeah, so as long as people are aware that it's not just do this, press the button and it's done. We also need to do the inner work beforehand, and set in motion and in place these spiritual practices and healing practices. So, what preparing or preparative practices do you guide people through, Katherine?
That's a great question, Marina. I'm glad you spoke about all these things because we do, as part of lesson one, level one, I do take people through that. What happens if your Merkaba brings up trauma? What happens if it brings up things that you were not expecting? So we do a whole section on that. So I do give people the tools on how to deal with that because I would say most people, their Merkaba activation lifts them up into 5D and they are forever changed and everything is great and it's all rainbows and unicorns and things. But then every now and again, if somebody hasn't been prepared or hasn't done any enough, maybe past life clearing or things like that, then something can be spun out of the Merkaba. It actually brings it up into your face to deal with. So, but over and above that, I would say the other preparatory practices that I bring forward are daily practices like grounding and breath work. And there's one particular grounding practice, sorry, that we're going to do as part of our meditation in a minute. But I call that the access practice because no matter what happens to us, if we're having a great day and then suddenly the rug gets pulled out from underneath us, we can do this access practice to get back up on our axis. So the basic idea of it is we are going to bring in the energies from the crystals at the center of the earth. We're going to bring in the energies from the behind the great central sun into our chakra system and support it to be grounded and activated at the same time. So this is going to help, and it is a fundamental part of Merkaba. We always start with that, and we're using that energy to actually create the rotations in the first place. Over and above that, I also always recommend energetic hygiene and clearing and shielding and daily connection with your higher self. And this allows your heart to be open and the nervous system to trust that incoming frequency. Would you add anything to what I've said, Marina?
I love that you're talking about the access practice, Catherine. To me, this is like linking down to Mother Earth and up to Father Sky or the divine. And what comes to me now is the image of a tree. A tree, a strong tree that grows deep roots down into the earth, will be nurtured enough and connected and grounded enough to actually grow high up and grow really strongly towards the sky. So I think that's what it really represents, and that's also bringing that safety and that grounding. And in line with that physical image, what keeps coming to me is I feel it's important to also be in a safe space or in a kind of spiritual space, even if it's just a corner in the bedroom or a space where one does breathing practices or meditation practices where one feels safe, or if it's like a favorite sofa or chair. I don't know why that keeps coming to me now, the image of just this physical safety as well. That's important as well, and that will support to feel, to calm down the nervous system as well as everything else that you've said, which was a pretty good list of things. So, yeah, and so could you tell us what a typical Merkaba activation session would look like, Catherine, and when you guide through this?
Yeah, that's a great question, Marina. I would say a typical session lasts around 2 hours. If that's live one-to-one with me, I do have on-demand training if people want to just go ahead and do it on their own time and they've had some spiritual practice in their lives before and they feel confident spiritually to move on. They can just do that on their own, or they can book a live one-to-one session with me. And as I said, it takes about 2 hours because we start with that access practice, then we move on to explaining. I explain the initial 17 steps, which will be clearing and preparing the body to move into that higher dimension. And then once I've taken the student through the practical parts of the Merkaba, all theory, I then show them a video that further explains each part of the process because we start with the theory and it's in 2D, flat on the screen, like a presentation. And then when I show the videos, it all kind of comes together in your mind of what's actually going to happen. And also part of level one training is basic starter programs that I've created, which can be likened to the starter programs that start up your computer. So just as your computer starts up and certain things happen, the Merkaba needs a certain amount of starter programs. And these are basic programs that include helping us with Ascension symptoms and also making sure that we're protected from negative energies like the ley lines, negative ley line energies, mobile phone energies, that sort of thing. But with each with each program, sorry, we check with the higher self to make sure it is happy that that program is added before we move on to the next one. And then I also include as part of the training how to create and add new programs so that you are fully equipped to then go ahead and for the rest of your life add more programs to your Merkaba whenever you need to. And throughout the guided activation, we are always anchored to our heart. And then we close with embodiment practices and aftercare recommendations. So I would do that. And then the question often comes up around the subject, how long does integration take and what signs should people expect afterwards? Are you able to tell us your experience, Marina?
Yeah, so thank you for explaining all this. This really is such a beautiful way of teaching from A to Z. Really, everything is kind of taken care of, every step by step. People are taken by the hand and just shown everything they need to, but in such a concise and simple way where they don't really need to worry about anything. And it may seem complicated at times with all these 17 breaths and this and that step, but you make it so easy. And I love that. So the integration, I would say, just like with anything else, like with healing work or energy work, it varies really. There's different ways for different people. So some people feel shifts immediately, others notice subtle changes over time, over weeks, over months, accumulative. And other people even may not notice anything. And then maybe months later or a year later, they look back and think, oh my goodness, my life has totally changed, or this has changed, my job's changed, my relationship's different. I totally feel different about myself. And sometimes we don't even notice because we're just so into the rut of everyday life. So it can be really different for everybody because everybody is at a different state energetically and in terms of with what they're dealing in life and how they are and how they're feeling. So I, generally common aftercare, it's good to after the training or the meditation, the initiation, to include extra rest, extra hydration, gentle movement, because it really helps the nervous system integrate all these energies on every level, even the cellular level. And yeah, maybe creative expression, journaling, just so we notice the changes. Because sometimes, as I said, we don't even notice unless we write it down and then maybe read back, oh, this is how I was 3 months ago, or how I felt about that 3 months ago. And now it's totally different. And it's good to journal and just keep track of what's going on. And as always, very much important to stay in line with your higher self, to be connected with that divine guidance, because that's really what I feel. As you said earlier, me too, I feel it's very important, especially in this day and age where the world is so confusing. Everything's so confusing. Everybody's saying something different. It's not really important what anybody else is saying. What is important is really our true connection to our higher self, to just stay on track with that. And that would really help us if there are any issues or whatever we need to be doing with our Merkaba, it will really guide us. So, yeah. So, Catherine, my next question will be, when would you actually recommend for somebody to take this 2 hour formal workshop with you rather than trying? There have been some DIY kind of videos and things out there online that people do by themselves. What do you have to say to that?
Great question. Yeah. So I would say if somebody is newer to light body work or has maybe some dense emotional material to process or prefers a held container, then I think a guided activation with an experienced facilitator is best. It offers real-time support and tailored pacing. And if someone is experienced and well-grounded at home practices can be useful as maintenance. But I would say that quite a few people have come to me because they've tried something off YouTube and then since then they've felt exhausted, everything's not going right. So we basically take down that Merkaba, whatever was going wrong, and then we operate the Merkaba correctly, following the steps, following the guides, bringing in Archangel Michael is critical person to have on this journey with us. And yeah, so we do all of that together, and it is a little bit more formal. And not only that, I also offer people to join our WhatsApp group. It's a Merkaba WhatsApp group that deals with all the spirituality. But I actually I offer all the people that have done the Merkaba training with me a safe place to join this WhatsApp group so that they can share their experiences with one another. So it's not just me telling you this and this should happen. Other people in that group will share their experiences, full transparency, about what's going on. And that was also actually quite interesting what you were saying earlier, Marina, about, look, a year later and everything has changed. I notice that most people talk about changes at the 3 month mark, the 6 month mark, and the 9 month mark. And that is also the 369 is actually connected back to the Merkaba. And it is a very interesting pattern that I noticed myself as well. So I find that what happens is we tend to have a very good idea of what programs we want to add in the beginning. And then what happens is 3 months later, we kind of look back or something will make us, you bump into someone that you haven't seen for years and they no longer irritate you beyond belief. All of a sudden, you can actually see them with through different eyes. Things like that start to happen. Or you might be going along in your day, working away and thinking, "Oh, why didn't I add that program to my Merkaba?" And then you go and add that program. And at the same time, you look through all the other programs that you've had it in and you just go, wow, that's worked, that's worked, that's worked. That's no longer an issue for me. This is so interesting. So it is that journey that we go through. Um, uh, so yes, yeah, carry
I was
on.
saying it's very true what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay, so if someone is, yeah, I would say, what would you say are the key questions people should ask themselves to know if they're ready, Marina?
So number one, as I mentioned earlier, that inner pull, that draw to the feeling I need to do this. I don't know, even I don't know why maybe, but I feel like I need to do this. I feel like this magical draw to this thing. Something's calling me to it. And then also ask yourself, do you have any basic grounding practices in place? And if not, am I willing? Am I willing to actually learn these, which is as well what you're teaching, right? And am I willing to rest and integrate the Merkaba and the energies? Have I actually got the space right now in my life? So when there is a lot going on in life, it might not be the right time. So maybe wait when there's a little bit more, things are a bit more settled. And also, am I open to my higher guidance, to the divine guidance? Am I humble enough, or am I willing or choosing to surrender to my higher guidance rather than to my own mental mind specific outcome that I may have in my mind? Because the higher self has a higher perspective. It's a higher self logically, and it can see the bigger picture, which we can't always, or if at all, see. So, am I willing to kind of surrender to that bigger picture that the higher self has, even if I don't quite have that picture myself? Am I willing and choosing to just follow that? And ultimately, I think that's the only way right now to reach our potential and to become who we came here to be, and to find a way through all this confusion, because the higher self is from, literally has that higher perspective, which we can't always see. So also what you mentioned, I think, is the number one important thing: the support, the mentoring, the community, the exchange, the working in a group, rather than on myself, because it's always good to exchange. Normally, people always think, "Oh my God, I'm the only one who's experiencing such and such." And when we ask other people, we have the chance, actually, the opportunity to realize, actually, there's a lot of people who feel the same. I'm not on my own, and I actually have a support network. And actually, I'm not weird or I'm not different. And there's people who understand me, who have similar experiences, who may be able to support me from their experience. I think this is really important, as compared to just an online DIY thing. So if you can answer yes to most of these questions, and if you feel that pull to that practice, then yeah, by any means, then you're ready to actually learn the formal process. And it's a very safe process. It literally leads you from A to Z. It's every step is taken into account. So and you have the support of the group or the mentor. So, as you said, Catherine, some people have done this on their own and they ended up in a place that wasn't the nicest place for them. And especially with energy work, there's so much out there, and you don't know where it's coming from. You don't know if it is updated, is it being monitored, and there's nobody there asking you, how are you actually getting on with this, right? If you do this on your own. And it's a very lonely place to be, especially if anything goes all right. And so it's always good to have this support network, as you're saying, the WhatsApp group. And I think it's very much needed nowadays to have this kind of connection. It's all about connection today, and it's very important. So, yeah, so this brings me to talking about connection and the heart. We'll connect through the heart. Catherine, to that question, what does it feel like to start the activation, the Merkaba activation, from a heart-centered place?
Well, that's a very interesting point, Marina, because I do believe that the quality of intention matters. A heart-centered activation is more sustainable than one driven by escaping or proving something. And that's why we place the higher self at the center of the work. And in fact, I've prepared a short guided meditation with the higher self in mind, to help our audience discover whether a Merkaba activation is even right for them. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into a lovely meditation. I'm going to connect you to your higher self, and then you'll be able to ask the question, and we'll be able to move on from there. So we're going to start with the access practice that I've talked so much about today already. So let's start by feeling the earth at our feet and the chair at our back. Let's just take a moment now to focus on the soft velvetiness of the inside of our eyelids as we go in, and down, down, down. Let's go all the way down now to a very beautiful crystalline energy at the center of Mother Earth. And let's invite those energies to come up, up, up into our chakras as we breathe in, counting up from 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and let go. We're going to do that again. This time we're going to focus in on Mother Earth's message for you, how she loves you unconditionally, how she wishes to nurture and support you all of your days. So let's breathe that in as we count up from 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and let go. Let's do that one more time. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and let go. In our minds, let's travel up, up, up now. Let's go all the way up until we find the energy of the sun behind the sun, and let's bring that living light intelligence down, down, down into our chakras as we breathe in, counting down from 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and let go. And let's do that again. 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and let go. One last time. 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and let go. Just allow your body to soften into this moment. Allow yourself to relax as you have given yourself this time, this magical moment in time to be one with yourself, one with your higher self. And let's also take a moment now to bring in all the very magical guides that you want to work with today. Any ascended masters, any of the archangels that you like to work with. Let's just start to notice them showing up and surrounding you in this moment in time. And while they are gathering, it's a good opportunity now to call in specifically Green Tara. She is the Ascended Master, specifically in charge of helping us with our higher self. And she comes forward now to assist you in connecting very easily, very beautifully from your heart to your higher self. And also at this time, we notice that the energy from the earth and the energy from the sun behind the sun has gathered inside each one of your chakras, lighting them up like big, bright, beautiful stars. And just take a moment now to place your right hand over your heart and your left hand over your belly, and feel the warmth of your hands and the support they offer your body. Breathing into that support and invite a sense of safety into the body. And just notice the container that is holding you now. Now take a moment to imagine a gentle stairway of light in front of you, leading down and then upwards. A safe passage that takes you deeper within and then up into the realm of your higher self. Begin to walk down these steep steps slowly, counting back from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And within the next breath, counting up from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, notice that you have arrived in a calm inner place. And at the bottom of the stairway is a soft doorway of light, and you are invited with your guides and the archangels and the ascended masters to step through this doorway into a luminous chamber where your higher self waits, radiant and loving. Just gently step through now, feeling only love and acceptance in the space. Notice how welcome your higher self makes you feel. And when you meet your higher self, take a moment to simply recognize the presence this aspect of you is. Notice how wise and gentle, and how your higher self holds an energetic view that cares only for your growth and well-being. Allow a simple greeting to arise. You might say, "Hello, I am here to listen." And just allow yourself to sense this wise presence with you. Ask your higher self to show you how much you are loved. And when you are ready, ask silently or aloud. Say, "Higher self, would a Merkaba activation support my highest good at this time?" Then pause and listen with your whole body. Notice if there are any sensations, images, words, or subtle feelings that come through. What is the very first thing your higher self offers in response? Now gently ask, if the answer is yes, what would be a safe and healing way for me to receive this activation? Just pay attention to anything your higher self says. Whatever it says is correct. And if your higher self offered a caution or a soft "not yet," then you can ask, what do I need to prepare before this activation can be right for me? And just notice if your higher self brings in any disciplines, any practices, or anything that might help you move forward. It might be something to do with grounding, it might be inner child healing, or it might be rest. You might need to do some karma clearing, ancestral karma clearing. In this case, just ask your higher self, what should I do first? So just take a few moments now to receive any images, any words, or any feeling or healing presence that your higher self offers. Allow light to move through your crown, your heart, and through your root chakra. Just whatever feels appropriate. This is not the time to force anything. This is a time for allowing, simply allowing presence and clarity. Just notice what gentle energy your higher self pours into you in this moment. If there is a simple action step brought forward, hold it in your mind now. Perhaps a practice to start tomorrow or anything that might come up. Just ask your higher self, what is my next small, loving step that I need to take? And just receive it with gratitude. Bring your mind to your heart center and feel the presence of your higher self there, anchoring this counsel into your physical body. Let's just take a moment now to thank this wise part of you. To all the higher selves, we thank you for your guidance, and we intend to follow your guidance with care. Just take a moment to notice if you feel resonance with that commitment. If not, let's bring in an archangel to clear any blocks to aligning with our higher selves. I notice Archangel Gabriel steps forward to offer assistance here, and he is followed by Zadkiel, who brings the violet flame to release any and all blocks that you feel to aligning with your higher self. We just notice how that connection to the higher self feels a lot stronger now. And if appropriate, you may want to hug your higher self or thank it in a way that's specific to you and your higher self. And when you're ready, slowly walk back through that doorway, ascending the stairway from 1 to 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, bringing all the clarity and calm you received with you into the waking. Know that you are returning with a sense of knowing and care. And on the next breath in, feel the chair at your back and the earth at your feet. And when you are ready, you can come back to the room and jot down any guidance you received.
Oh, wow, that was beautiful. Tingling all over my head and shoulders.
Oh, wonderful. I love that. I also I get tingles and I get the feeling of so much love flowing through my body when I connect with my higher self. It's like, yeah, there's not enough actually. My body isn't big enough or capable of holding all the love available from the higher self. So it's just really um I would just say waves of love coming through because I can't handle it all in one go. So it's just very, very magical. I'm glad you enjoyed it too, Marina.
Beautiful, unconditional, loving space, isn't it? So thank you for sharing this beautiful meditation, dear Catherine, and this beautiful space. And dear audience, I would like you to just ponder now what part of this higher self's guidance meditation felt most alive and most important. What kind of insights did you gain for this moment? You may want to write it down and ponder on it.
Magical. And um, if you'd like a guided Merkaba activation, we offer sessions that include all the preparatory work, the activation, the integration, the support, showing you how to do the programs. I've included a link in the description below. And Marina, do you have anything to add?
I just want to say, as I was sitting here in this meditation, I could just feel your heart-centered space as always, and it just feels so safe and so beautiful and just so guided in such good hands. I love that, and it really truly shows what the activation would be like as well, but on an even higher, stepped up level. So yeah, get ready. But it's a beautiful way of working, and it's I could really sense that you're working with your higher self and your guidance and allowing anything to come through in the meditation that is needed for this moment here right now, for whoever's here to listen and to do this. So yes, it's a beautiful way of working. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marina. And just on the final notes, remember that we've just done a meditation, so remember to rest, hydrate, listen to your body, journal what you experienced, do gentle grounding, spend time in nature, eat nourishing food, breathe deeply, and if any intense emotions arrive, contact a trusted facilitator or practitioner for support. And yeah, I think that's everything.
And thank you everybody for listening and being here with us. We are honored to have you here, and it's such a beautiful energy here. And yeah, thank you.
And thank you for joining us today, Marina. Always nice to see your lovely smile. And everybody, remember to stay magical.
Thank you for having us all. Thank you.